Well, hi, fifth graders. I'm so excited today to continue working on writing. It's one of my favorite things to do. We've been working on our personal narratives ideas, and yesterday, actually probably for a few days, you've been brainstorming all of the different things that you could write about. Because believe it or not, your lives are full of outstanding stories. Even if they seem small, you can still turn this into something magical, right? And so we brainstormed in all of these different categories, and today what we're going to do is choose one and start to turn it into a story. Okay. Now, when I go to choose a story, one of the things that I need to think about is I want to make sure that it is a small moment. I'm going to write that up here just because when I'm writing a story, if I choose to write all about my trip to Disneyland, right, that's going to take a long time to tell that story because Disneyland, that's a huge, long experience, right? Or if I'm going to tell about my trip to Mexico, that would take forever. And so I really want to think about what is one small moment story that I could tell? What, if you could narrow down a single point in your trip to Mexico or your single point in your adventure to Disneyland, what would that one thing be, right? Now, when you look at mine, I have some big, like when I think about Halong Bay, that's a big idea, right? I want to shrink that down. And so I actually shrunk it down to there's a part in Halong Bay where we came across a snake on the beach. That's a small moment that I could write about, right? Um, when I think about like my injuries, most of these are actually small moments in time. And I might use, in fact, today I think what I want to do is use this one right here. I'm going to start with this story about the time that I sat on a bee's nest. And the reason I'm picking that one is because it's a small moment that I can expand into this really big moment. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do before I even start writing my story is I'm going to say my story out loud. And as I go, I'm going to pay attention to the three big parts of my story. I'm going to touch my fingers as I go, okay? So the first thing that happened was I went to a horse camp to go visit my cousin who was riding horses. And I was with my grandma and my sister at the time, I think, maybe even my brother. And we wanted to go and watch her ride her horses at camp. And when we got there, she was busy. And so, this is the next big part. I went to go sit on a bench over off to the side because my legs were tired. And when I sat down on the bench, I was swarmed by bees. And if you don't know anything about me, now you know I am terrified of bees. The bees came up all, it was like this like wave of bees coming up around me. So of course I took off running. And to kind of finish off my story, I remember that I ran so fast and I got stung once in the leg, and luckily I made it far enough away that was all that I got away with. So I remember my grandma having to help find some some medicine that they could put on my bee sting for me. So those are my three big events in the story. Okay. Now that I've got those three big events, I'm going to take and turn to my notebook. Okay. I've got my small moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 pages, 3 different pages that all have a little box here. Okay. And the box is so that I can actually either draw a picture or I can kind of write what those big ideas are because those are going to help me form my paragraphs in my story. So my first big idea is going to go here. I'm going to put a big 1 at the top. And then my second big idea is going to go here. Here's my 2. And my third big idea is going to be here, 3. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the beginning and I'm going to think about what was my big idea here. Well, we got to horse camp. So I could draw a picture or I could just write in arrived at horse camp. Maybe if you're an artist and you are feeling inspired, you might draw a horse or a dinosaur or whatever it is that it's kind of horse-like, right? It's helping to paint a picture in my head of what I was going to see, right? So I arrived at horse camp. I'm not going to write anything yet. I'm just going to get my ideas down on paper. Okay? At horse camp, I sat on a bench and the bees swarmed me. And I'm going to draw an evil looking little bee. This very sharp stinger. Kind coming for me, right? A little angry face. And then there were a bunch of them. So maybe I draw a bunch of bees to kind of remember that there was a lot of bees. A little angry face, okay? And then the last thing is I remember I got stung once. And then my grandma got me medicine for the sting, right? And so I might draw a picture of my, here's my leg. There's my knee, right? And then the bee came in and he stung my leg right there. And then I'll put a little ouch right there. Okay, so now I've got my 3 ideas. I am all ready to I'm already set for writing, and that's going to be the next step of our journey. So today, what I want you to do, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to pick your narrative. Okay, so number 1, so choose your narrative that you're going to write about. Don't forget, it needs to be a small moment, just one small part in time. Okay, once you've got your small moment, you're going to tell your story out loud. Hold up those 3 fingers. Tell me what those big main events are. Okay. And then the last step today is to go and create pages for yourself where each event is highlighted and kind of put in those big ideas into your picture frame. The rest of the page will be saved for writing. All right. Good luck.